Previously on a Scowl Method podcast. So, I was the cashier. I was the young buck. I was going through doing all these things and everything like that. And here she is in a jewelry counter. I'm like, oh, she's pretty. And I go about my business, right? So, it took about a couple weeks before she was trying to get my number, right?
Wow.
So,
Here's a lie.
okay, well, can you let me
I'm
finish telling
sorry.
the story,
Yeah,
please?
go ahead, finish that lie.
So she was trying to, she was all up on me, like she was pressing me. I was just like, "Yo, baby, chill, like relax." You know what I mean? We can be good friends and everything like that. You know what I mean?
They can
But
tell us a lie. Just look how you tell the story.
all right, what's up, everybody? Listen, apparently we caused a little bit of drama, fun drama. It's not anything serious or anything like that, as to how I myself and Coach Erica met and what the story is. Everybody swears out that I'm lying. I'm telling the 100% truth. Like there are no lies told at all whatsoever. But whatever, we're gonna keep it pushing, right? So, this episode is gonna be part 2 of the conversation that I had with Coach Erica. We talked about autoimmune disease, and that's kind of like the main branch. Her dealing with autoimmune disease, and we wanted just to put her story out there for you all because there's value in telling that story, and she's shown courage, resilience. I mean, she's shown so many different things over the course of her life dealing with autoimmune disease and all the other complexities that come with it. So here's part 2 of our talk. We're going to get right into it, but just for the record, I'm not lying. Okay, so what's going on, everybody? Hope you're doing well out there. I'm Coach Evan. This is Say Cheese and Live Studio, and you're listening to the Scowl Method Podcast, your one-stop shop for not only physical fitness, but mental fitness, emotional fitness, and spiritual fitness. Let's finish off this little talk we have going on here. We're just talking about it. So what happened, right?
So water broke, and we were on our way. No, I ran to come and get you.
Right.
You were in the shower,
Mhm.
and ran to you. Hey, my water just broke. And obviously it's unbelievable because it's like 33 weeks. Like,
Yeah, you
what?
didn't say it like just as simple as you just said it there, right? You were
Oh,
just
was
like,
I feel like I was calm for some reason. I was not calm, was
no,
I?
like you were calm. It was weird though. It was a weird calm.
Maybe I
Like
was shocked.
that's what it was.
Mm-hmm.
You were super shocked. You were just like, my water broke.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, and then
Did you ask me was I sure?
no, because I saw everything.
Oh, mm-hmm. Right.
Like,
Oh,
yeah. And I was just like,
Mm-hmm.
okay. So got the oldest ready,
Mm-hmm.
threw on some clothes, and we're on the road.
Wow.
Yeah,
Yep.
to the hospital.
Drive to the hospital, and the whole way we just like, oh, please,
We were really
we were nervous.
super nervous,
Mm-hmm.
and I get you to the hospital,
Mm-hmm.
and I can't go in.
Mm-hmm. Because we're in the middle of COVID.
I was like, you wanted me to play along with that? I want to say COVID. No,
Yeah.
I hated
I
that.
know.
I hated that
You could not go in, and we have our oldest.
because our oldest couldn't go in.
Mm-hmm. We were begging. We were actually begging. I know I was. I was like, please let him go up, because we don't have anybody to come and get us because it's the middle of the night.
Yeah.
So 11.
It was like 11:30.
11:30.
Yeah.
But so you had to go back out. We ended up calling your parent. You called your parents. Your parents came up.
Yeah.
And they took that drive and came up.
Definitely appreciate them for that, because
Absolutely.
we had no other option, because coincidentally all the other options that we had as backups, they weren't there mysteriously.
Yeah. Very interesting development there.
But although only one of those situations did I understand.
Correct. Yeah.
Because it was basically somebody coming from out of state. There was no way.
Yeah, there was no way. And she was actually like, "No, I'm on my way."
Yeah, and it's just
And we
like,
were like,
no,
"No."
like there's no way you're gonna be able to make it in time.
Mhm.
I know you drive fast,
Yeah.
but
Right.
but lady, you ain't gonna make it
Yeah,
down,
no,
and
no.
I got it, and that's basically what it came down to. Like I got it.
Yeah, but she ended up being here the like next day.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
But still,
Yes,
right?
exactly.
We
Exactly.
we had the strategy, we had the plan set up,
Mhm. And
and we only talk to them anymore.
nope.
Yeah.
Nope.
So it's just like, and that's the one thing. Like that's just another aside. Like if you're like I constantly try to, like, if I'm gonna give my word on something, I try and stand by it.
Yes.
No matter what it is. Understanding that if I'm giving my word, there could be a chance where I have to follow through
Mhm.
and it's not optimal for me.
Right.
And it's just like
Exactly.
I just don't understand, especially dudes. I don't get dudes that don't get that.
Mm.
That don't operate that way.
Yeah.
Where it's just like if I tell you I'm gonna be somewhere, if I tell you I'm gonna do something, it has to be something super serious for me not to make it.
Mhm.
Something other than I don't feel like it, or I'm asleep, or like, no.
Right.
Especially if it's something where
Facts.
somebody needs me
Mhm.
and they need me to be somewhere. They need my
You
presence
said you
somewhere.
were going to be
And I
there.
said I was going to do it.
Mhm.
I don't understand going back on that.
Mhm.
That's a lack of manhood to me.
Mhm.
But all that aside, right? My parents actually um get to pick up our oldest, and thankfully they did that because we
Yeah.
didn't have any other option.
Mhm.
And I finally get in the hospital and they get me all ready.
Yep.
And
I'm in the OR.
yeah, you're in the OR, and they get me prepped because it has to be an emergency C-section.
Mhm.
And at that time, like my parents ended up making it back home. So mind you, a good amount of time has passed
Yeah.
since they picked him up, and I was in there, and I'm just like, okay, what's happening, right?
Mhm.
Because what's going? So how did it go? Like every time, here, I'll let you
Yeah,
explain it.
every time I had a contraction, um the baby's heart rate would drop
Yeah,
like significantly low. And they were rushing. They're like, "Hey, we got to get her down."
and they had to give you something to stop contracting,
Yes, they
right?
did. They had to give me something.
Right, that's what I thought,
Because
and
they couldn't understand why. They just noticed it and was like, "Nope,
something's not right.
something's not
Something
right.
not
We
right.
got to get her down there."
Yeah.
Rushed me down, got you all set and prepped.
Well, that took time.
The prep.
Yeah,
Okay,
because
well,
I
I
remember
wasn't
I was
there.
sitting in a room. They rushed you down for a little bit, and I was still
Mhm.
sitting there like, okay, all right, what it was like, okay, Dad, we got to get you ready. Da 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 da. And
Mm.
all of a sudden, there was like a quiet, and
Oh.
I
Mhm. Oh,
call,
you call, yep.
to see, like, call my parents to see how everybody's doing, and he wasn't doing so great, right? The oldest wasn't doing that good, and he was
Yeah.
just like, look, is everybody okay? Is it da 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 da? And he was scared. He
Yeah.
was scared, and understandably so. And I'm like, nah, I got you, mama. Don't worry.
Mhm.
All right, we'll be all good. I promise you. And I was
Yeah.
like, and I was thinking in the back of my mind, and I'm literally praying at that point in time. Like I'm like, Lord, I hope I didn't just make him a false promise.
Oh, man. I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I just sat there and I saw I'm pacing this room they have me in. And then they put me up with the little suit, get the little
Mhm.
suit on, and then get me a little hairnet and everything like that, even though I had no hair. And then it's just like, hairnet and all that fun stuff.
Mhm.
And we get up in there, and they already had you under.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm like, or
Well, yeah, I wasn't completely
not
under.
under, but you get the point.
Yep.
Like, you know what I mean? Like it was, they had you on some stuff,
Yeah.
and
Laid out.
bro, there's another situation that is just like, I don't know, like it's just this is just an unpleasant situation, right?
Mhm.
Like, and I mean in general, like a C-section is very unpleasant.
Uh-huh. I can
I
say
know
that.
for you,
Yep.
but like I it's like that same trauma
Right,
from
right.
the
From the
first one. I'm
first
just
one.
like, ain't nobody tell me about this. Ain't nobody tell me about that because we were not scheduled for
Mhm.
a C-section. So what am I studying? What am I looking at this stuff for if I'm not going to do it? All
Mhm.
of a sudden, We in there, and I hear the strangest noises, and I'm just like, that one was harder.
Next to my singing?
That actually, yeah, that whole time was actually
Yeah.
very hard because your singing actually made me more nervous,
Mm. Oh, 'cause I was, 'cause yeah, I get it.
and it wasn't peaceful singing.
Mhm. Yeah.
It was like you were scared.
I was focusing.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and I was just like, it's just a weird moment. But they get him out,
Yep.
and well, we hear him scream, which is really good,
Yeah.
right? That was a really good sign up front. But
Mhm.
then the doctor tells
The
us,
nurse, yeah, or doctor, right, you're right.
yeah, doctor tells us some things, right?
Mhm. Oh, well, that's the problem. Well, what's the problem?
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
Well, he's wrapped, around his neck and his abdomen.
Wrapped
Umbilical cord
was wrapped
was
around his
wrapped
neck
around his neck
and his body.
and
Yeah,
wrapped
yeah, and the
around his
body.
body, so the only thing was free were his legs.
Yeah.
So
So
that
every
explains the
time,
kick, right?
well, right. So every time you had a contraction,
Yes, it was choking
it was
him.
choking him out.
Sorry, that gets me.
I know.
Yes, it was choking him
Yeah.
every time. Um,
And so basically, your water broke because you had a contraction. It was choking him out, and he kicked his way out because he was breech.
he was breached. Yes, he was breached. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and listen, let me tell you now. There's a happy point to this story because little dude is the toughest little dude.
He's strong,
Like
smart.
he's husky.
Yeah.
Like there's no way. Like he's just muscly. Like he's just this
Yeah.
muscle, Mighty Mouse.
Muslim. That's a good name for it. I'm gonna get him a T-shirt. Mighty
Okay,
Mouse T-shirt.
okay,
Sorry.
okay.
Sorry.
But it's you know we he comes out
Yeah.
and we find out all that, and then they go through the process of closing you back up.
Close me up. Get me all situated and good.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And
Yep.
little dude had a trip in the NICU for about a month,
Yeah.
which was
That
very,
was
very
hard.
hard. Very, very hard. That was the hardest time, like, because I was still working a full-time job.
Mm-hmm.
And I had the studio.
Mm-hmm.
So I was working a studio at nights, and after every night, I would go to the hospital to deliver food
Mm-hmm.
and to be there with him.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't leave a lot of times until what, midnight, 1,
Oh,
2 o'clock, and then
sometimes 3.
sometimes 3. Get back home, get a couple hours of sleep,
And 10 to me.
and yeah, and make sure that you're good. Make sure the oldest is good, and just
Mm-hmm.
make, hey, listen, and give y'all reports and
Mm-hmm.
everything like that. And then I would get up at 6 o'clock the next morning to do it all again. Did
Mm-hmm.
that for a month.
Yeah. That
That
was
was hard.
tough.
That was super hard. And especially with not knowing what kind of life he's going to be able to have.
Right. Because it was telling us,
There's going
what
to be
could
some things,
happen.
yeah.
Yep.
Well, they were, remember, they were flat out telling us
Yeah, they were straightforward.
he's like he's going to have some potentially learning
Mm-hmm. Disability.
setbacks, and some physical disabilities are likely as well, and his development might be a little bit slower. They told us a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
They told us a lot, and come to find out, ain't none of it was true.
Nope. All his
None of it was
markers
true
were
at
coming
all.
back good, normal,
Better,
strong.
better
Yep,
than
better.
average,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like it's just like, oh well, he's all caught up. You would not have known
Mm-hmm.
that he's a premature baby. And the thing about it, I wanted to mention before, right? Like he was born at 33 weeks, right? And it was just in enough time. Like we got to the hospital. That was the closest hospital we were at, right?
Mm-hmm.
The time that it took to get to the hospital, get everything prepped and all that fun stuff, those were seconds off his life, basically,
Yep.
right? So if
'Cause I
we
was still
had to
contracting
go
too.
anywhere else, it would have been a problem. So and the reason I'm saying that is because had we come in 3 days before, we would
Mhm.
have had to go down an extra hour and a half away
Yeah.
to a
Yeah.
different
To a different
hospital.
one. Wow.
So it's just like, yeah, yeah. So we go through all that, and then you're recovering in the hospital. He's in the NICU, and I'm traveling back and forth between, make sure everybody's good. But then the whole left side of your face goes completely slack
Mhm. Yep. And they thought I had a stroke.
because it looked like you had a stroke.
Yeah. It did. It
It-
did.
yeah,
So while he was in the NICU, I was in the ICU.
yeah,
Yeah. So and then it happened the night the water broke. My water broke. That I felt it initially. Um when I told you.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But like you're in a hospital now, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So
So, yep, in the hospital now. Face uh on my right side is all it's droopy.
did I say the left side of your face?
Did you
Oh,
say left?
my left. You're
Yeah,
right.
my right.
Go ahead. My
Yeah.
bad. Sorry.
It's okay. You know you left from your right.
Sometimes.
The right side of my face was drooping. Um and again they thought I had a stroke, so I had a whole bunch of tests um done and everything came up normal, clear, and they're like, "Yep, you have Bell's palsy." Um don't know how.
Wait, but you were in the ICU.
Yeah,
What was that like?
being in the ICU.
Yeah,
Oh.
after giving birth, you were then shipped down to the ICU?
Oh, man, what? I was scared. One, um, I felt I felt bad because I'm like my baby's upstairs, so I can't spend no time with him. I don't fully know what's going on with him.
Yeah.
Um, my oldest is probably somewhere or at with his grandparents worrying. My husband is worrying, stressed. So I go on like trying to figure out how I can fix it, how I can make it
Mm.
better. And I can't. I'm laying in the ICU bed, right? How can I help my husband? Because I already know you had to go on double time, right? And you only had but so much time off of work. But
So
dealing
you
with
were
that,
thinking about the future?
yes. I wasn't really thinking about myself too much, which is I
Mm.
guess is weird. Maybe not as a mom,
It's not.
it's not weird. Um, but I was down there hearing. Yeah, I never been in the ICU before. So I heard some things that I've never heard before,
Like,
like, the long beeps, people passing away type deals, and doctors yelling and, need help for this room and another room over there. And it was like back to back. And I appreciate the ICU nurses and doctors because what they have to go through,
yeah.
that's a lot. Like, that is a lot. Um, so and the nurse that I had, she was super nice. She was so sweet. But she was constantly running. She had my room and she had like a whole bunch of other rooms, right? So she goes from one to another. Um, but it was a lot. It's a very, very busy area, right? So my room door was closed. Everything closed off. So my curtain was closed. So you can't see out, but I can hear what's going on. Sometimes you had to run out the room, so my curtain was left open. Um,
So basically, you were just hearing people dying.
yeah, yeah,
Eesh,
yeah.
eesh. Okay.
What is it? The cold blues?
I
Is that what
don't,
it
I
is?
don't
Yeah,
know. I
something
don't
like
even
that.
know.
Yeah.
I'm still trying to wrap my head around that part.
Yeah,
Right.
it's a lot. One lady, I don't even know who she was. I don't even think she was a nurse, but she walked past my room, stopped at the window, and kind of like tilted her head towards me and walked in my room and was like, "Why are you here?" And I was like, "Huh?" And she's like, "Why are you here? I don't want to see you in here no more." I was like, "Woman, you don't see my face?" Like, Like,
Yeah.
what?
Yeah.
But she said, "You look like you don't belong in here." And she
Mm,
asked me what happened.
yeah.
And I told her what happened, and she said, she was like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. And I hope, your baby is okay, but you're gonna be okay, but you don't belong down here."
Mm,
And I said, "Okay, I'm gonna get better." She said, "You will, and you will not come in here again." And I said, "Yes, ma'am," because she was older.
got it.
She
I
was
was
an
just like, why is she
older,
talking like she's like a
yeah,
grandma?
she was an elderly woman, and I said, "Yes, ma'am." Like, okay. And she was serious. Like there was no smile, no joke, no nothing.
Yeah.
And I say, "Okay, yes, ma'am." And
Right.
then that was it. And then from there, I actually was determined. Like I got up. I had to call the nurse to get up to go to the bathroom.
Sure. Sure.
Um, but I was like, "Nope, I'm gonna try to do it myself." And I did.
But you just had.
I just had surgery.
Oh,
Yeah.
bruh. Okay.
So I was gripping on to everything.
You straight didn't tell me that
I did.
because I would have told you behind to sit down.
Yep. So with the nurse,
Okay.
because she actually came in and saw me sitting on the toilet. And she was like, "How did you get there?" And I said, and I started laughing because when I get nervous, I start laughing.
Yeah.
So I started laughing. I said, I had to go to the bathroom and you're busy." So she was like, she's like, "I don't care how busy I am. You push the call button and you call me because I'll come and help you." And I was like, "I get it, but you got a lot going on. And I can definitely do this." And she was like, did you go to the bathroom?" I said, "Yes, ma'am, I did." She's like, "Do you need help getting up?" I said, "I do need help getting up, but I need help going back to it." She said, "See, and you need help." So I was like, "Okay, I'll call you." I had her laughing because she needed a laugh,
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
Um, so she got me back in the bed, but I just sat there and, you know, try to think of ways that I can make her laugh.
Yeah. That's awesome. That's awesome. That's awesome. Especially at a time when you're surrounded by death.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's.
And considering what could have happened to me
Mhm.
in our baby, you know, um,
Mhm.
because it could have been a stroke. It could have been
Yeah.
something else. I have autoimmune disease, so something could have happened, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
So by the
Which is
grace.
funny that you mentioned that too, right? Like back to the autoimmune disease thing.
Mhm.
So there's a good chance that this Bell's palsy
Mm.
sparked up because now, mind you, Bell's palsy is just kind of like a catch-all. When they
Mhm.
don't, it was almost like what ITP used to be,
Yeah.
right? It's just like, well, when you have this, it's probably ITP. But like when you have this, it's probably Bell's palsy. But we really don't know where it comes from,
Yeah.
right? So there's a lot of data that's coming out now that's saying that Bell's palsy is also part of the autoimmune tree,
Mhm.
right? Where your antibodies are potentially attacking
Nerves.
the nerve endings in your
Mhm.
face, which is interesting.
I was like,
And
"Sure,
very,
why not?"
yeah, yeah, yeah. Now, this is not at all scientific. I mean, maybe a little scientific. I'm just logic, applying logic to it a little bit, right? So remember, you had cholestasis. The bile salts are going through your bloodstream.
Mhm.
What are the chances of maybe some of them getting caught in your face a little bit? And then those antibodies going through and be like, "Ah, get.
Mhm.
And then they just don't know how to stop.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
know. I mean, it doesn't sound very scientific at all, but
It does, but there's a possibility. Like we don't know. I don't know if we mentioned the leukopenia.
um, no, we didn't mention any of the other ones.
Oh, we just okay.
Yeah, so I mean,
But the
you go ahead.
leukopenia was another thing around the
Which is
what
what?
is leukopenia?
Yeah.
So that is low white blood cells. So it's hard for me to fight off infection.
So you're building up antibodies, which happen to be white blood cells that are attacking other white blood cells.
Hmm. Warring against itself.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Hmm. That's about right.
Yeah.
Um. So all that on top. So the cholestasis. So going back to what you were saying,
Yeah.
I was letting you finish what you were saying.
You know what? I had a brain fart. So,
There's a lot going on,
it's a
right?
lot. I mean, it was just a lot going on at that point.
Yeah.
But right, so let's put all the way back to the, you know, you're in the ICU. They find out it wasn't a stroke though, right? I don't
Yep.
think we officially said that. It wasn't a stroke, but it's definitely Bell's palsy. And that was really a catch-all. So you get back up into your room out of the ICU, which if you look at it from top side, like take a macro view of the whole thing, that's very interesting. You were taken down to where there was nothing but death.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
there's this one woman who just looked at you and said, "You don't belong here."
Yeah.
Like I'm not, really, really big into just, like melodramatic here when it comes to stuff like this, but that always said something to me,
Mhm.
right? It was just like, you know, meanwhile, your son is fighting for his life, and your
Mhm.
husband is trying to keep everybody okay.
Yep, okay, same.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Um, and, and, and protected,
Yep.
right? So we you get back upstairs and we go through this whole thing. And, again, there's a good ending to this story, right? Because, well, not an ending. I don't think there's the end yet, but there's a good continuation to the story where it's like, our little one is stacked. He's
Yeah.
good. Like, you couldn't tell. But what this brings us to was that well, you had this emergency C-section,
Mhm.
right? And we go through all this. Now we're talking about like how your autoimmune disease and how it started to kick up again. So now you had more flare-ups,
Mhm.
but of different things. And so it was just going haywire. And that's kind of where we are now,
Yep.
right? Where it can appear as anything any given day. But it hasn't really appeared as much because you're living a different lifestyle, healthier lifestyle, eating better, moving still, all of those fun things. But I want to go back to the emergency C-section, and the doctors there were actually really good too. I don't want
Yes.
to let that go by where it's just like, oh, he hates all doctors. No, those doctors were really good too.
Mhm.
Especially Dr. Hancock.
Yes.
She was awesome.
She was awesome.
Yeah, she was cool
She did
too.
a
She was
really
real
good
chill.
job
She was
too.
like, "All right, Dad, you good?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm good." She was, "All right, hey, I know you good. I know you good." Like,
Yeah, she was good.
yeah, she was awesome. She was awesome, and she did a great job with the actual surgery and everything like that.
Mhm.
Because when you have a C-section, things got to get closed up.
Yep.
Things got to be sealed up again, and she
She did a really good job.
made some precision cuts and did some things.
Yeah.
Like she was very skilled, very
Mhm.
skilled. But the difficulty is whenever you get a C-section,
Mhm.
it increases your chances of other
Issues.
issues, right? And surprise, surprise, you get all of them,
I did.
right? So you want to wrap off the list. It was you don't want to wrap off the list.
You could wrap off the list.
You don't know what you had?
I know what I had. So, you have the leukopenia, right? The
From the C-section, I mean.
No, I know that. That plays a part. But
Okay, all
anyways.
right. So see, that's why I told you to wrap off the list.
Um, but adenomyosis can pop
Don't
up.
nobody know what that is.
Adenomyosis is a tissue growing inside or inside of the uterus, inside, not on the outside, because that's endometriosis.
Bruh.
You stuck?
It just doesn't feel right.
Tell me about it.
I don't even have any of those parts, and it just doesn't feel right. Like I felt my stomach gurgle. Like I don't know what that is, but like
Adenomyosis is like the sister to endometriosis.
so endometriosis is more common,
Mhm.
but they're finding this
Adenomyosis.
adenomyosis
Right.
is popping up more frequently because of C-sections.
Right,
Women
because
who
the
are having
tissue.
C-sections.
Yep.
So basically, your skin is growing on the inside.
Yes. Yes, sir. That's nasty, isn't it?
Good, good. But so and it's becoming a more and more common
Mhm.
problem. But what that means is,
And it doesn't feel too great.
well, yeah, you were going through
Yeah.
almost a year of pain
Yes.
leading up
Yes.
to
My hysterectomy.
now. Do you want to talk about that?
My hysterectomy?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. We don't have to spend too much time on it, right? Because
Yeah. It's all right.
yeah,
So I had I was having issues for a
yeah,
year.
yeah.
And I found out I had fibroids, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, and they really couldn't diagnose the adenomyosis. They don't diagnose that until they actually take it out, and can see it.
Take what out?
Uh, your your organs.
I don't. Okay,
I'll just
your
say
organs.
organs.
I don't have those
No,
organs.
you don't have those organs, so you will not have adenomyosis.
Okay. Okay, just checking.
No, no. But they can't diagnose that yet until they see what's
Right.
going on.
Right. Right. Right.
But the fibroids was causing me issues, um, which made them look even deeper.
Mm-hmm.
So
You had cyst as well.
I had cysts, yes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I had the ultrasound. They can see that I was clearly something was going on.
Yeah.
My monthly cycle was long. Like it didn't, some months it didn't really, what was my longest? They were like 14 days, 10 to 14 days, usually or 7, right?
Phew.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And again, a lot of pain, um, all the things, right? So went to this doctor went to my gynecologist, and he said that I qualified for a hysterectomy. And reason being is that the pain that I was having, my cycle was as long as it was, um, and I wasn't gonna get any relief from.
So they knew something was wrong, and it was just like, okay, yeah, there's something we can do about it. You have this option available to you.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
And then at that point, you were like, all right, cool, let's go, or you were like, nah, chill. Like, what was the thought process there?
I was back and forth. I was back and forth because I
Okay.
was afraid. And that stems back to surgeries in general for me.
Mm-hmm.
Just had the C-section. So going into the same area.
Well, you didn't just have the C-section. It
No,
was,
I'm sorry, not
later.
just having a C-section, but having a surgery in general. Right?
Okay.
You get what I'm saying?
I think so.
Okay. Um, Going through that with ITP or with autoimmune disease,
Mm-hmm.
it was scary, like a
Right.
scary thought.
Yeah.
So, but then going through all the pain and the fatigue, the prolonged menstrual, like it was, I was like, no, I'm tired. Like,
Yeah.
just if I can be without all this, okay, cool.
Yeah.
And I was like, let's go.
Okay.
I'll do it.
So you elect for it, I guess that's the right way to say it, I think, right? You elect to have the surgery.
Mm-hmm.
So that's another abdominal surgery.
Abdominal surgery. Yep. Yeah.
Okay. Now we don't need to discuss all the ups and downs of that surgery in and of itself, because
Right.
that was a time. That was
Yeah.
a time.
It is.
I didn't like that time.
Mm-hmm.
And it was pretty recent.
Yeah.
Right? I didn't like it.
Yeah.
It was tough. It was hard to deal with. Because your autoimmune issues were really, really picking up then.
Mm-hmm.
And it was prolonging the healing process.
Yes, it was. Where typically some women not up and fully going and doing things, but within 2 weeks, a typical woman that without an autoimmune disease is like up and moving in 2 weeks. I was healing slower. So, and I was a lot more, like, I guess, fatigued. And so yeah, it wasn't
It was
good.
tough. It
Yeah.
was tough. So then, all right. So now we get to a point where you're finally able to move.
Mm-hmm.
You're finally able to move. And what was the first thing that you thought, like, I'm able to move? I just had 2 major abdominal surgeries. What like that thought process at that point in time? What were you? Where were you headed? What were your thoughts? Where were you going?
Um, honestly, I need to get strong to take care of my family.
Go
Like,
ahead.
I need to, right? So even before I was able to, like, get out the bed, remember I started getting up and walking around and doing things like that.
Hmm.
Um,
But there were
and
issues then.
yeah, yeah, I couldn't get up and walk around as much as I wanted to.
Yeah,
Um,
because
but
every time you tried, there was
there was something. There was something. I had to call the doctor on one issue.
stuff wasn't just it wasn't healing.
Mhm.
It
Yeah, it was
just
like, "Oh,
wasn't
is this
healing.
normal?" I was calling people that had it,
It was
trying
all
to
on those boards, the
yeah,
medical boards and everything like
right,
that. Just
just
like,
trying
yo,
to figure
did you
like,
go through this
"Did you go
too?
through this?" Yeah, and
I'm surprised you
they
didn't find anybody that went through it.
no, they were like, "What?" Of
Yeah.
course, I'm a special case. Of
Of
course.
course, of course. Shouldn't
Um,
expect anything different at all
yeah.
there, right?
But you not you, but I
Hmm.
get tired of hearing that I am a special case in that regard,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So I did try to get up, even though you kept telling me to sit down. Like, sit down. It's like, no, like I can get stronger. I could do it. I got it, right?
Hmm.
Um, and it was also just me learning my body again,
Yeah.
right? So starting with the breathing and the Kegels, those are things that I knew I could do,
Hmm.
right? Because I know I need to get my abdominals stronger, my abdomen stronger,
Everything around it, front to back, basically had to be stronger again.
everything.
That's the funny thing too, right? Like you had two major abdominal surgeries, and the thing is, and this is something I tell like pregnant women all the time.
Yeah.
Like just really, you really want to consider um, physical therapy after giving birth,
Yes. Absolutely.
because it's just one of those things where it's just like kids wreck y'all.
They wreck us.
It's just,
They are a gift, but they do a lot
oh,
to
they
your
wreck those
they can do a
bodies.
lot to your body.
Mm,
Yeah.
mm. And,
Yeah.
and, and all that to say that it requires work
Yes.
after the fact, right?
Mhm.
Like that's the worst time to get lazy. You
Yes.
know what I
Yes.
mean? The
Or
worst
overly
time to,
busy. Like,
well, that's probably the most likely case where it's just like, well, I have a whole family to take care of, absolutely, but how are you taking care of your family at the maximum capacity of your ability,
mhm.
and when you're not yourself at max capacity?
Mhm.
And it's just
Mhm.
like, and that's one thing I just recently talked about that on just the previous podcast episode when I'm
Mhm.
talking about maintaining balance,
Yeah.
right? You find success in maintaining balance, right? There's a balance that you have to find between giving and taking,
Mhm.
between taking a part of yourself and giving it to someone else and consuming from other people,
Yeah.
right? Eh, You if you have the right mindset when consuming, you only really consume when you need to recharge,
Mhm.
because you can't give from an empty tank,
Right.
right? So it's like I wish that idea was more prevalent in like it's I, I don't want to misspeak at
Mhm.
all, right? So I don't want people to kind of hear what I'm not saying here, but
Mhm.
it's just like I typically see that of women.
Mhm.
They they make themselves martyrs for
Mm.
their family, and I was just like, I get it, because outstanding, upstanding dudes do the same thing,
Mhm.
but there has to be a balance there. There
Mhm.
has to be a point where you understand that yes, I'm giving here, but I need to replenish there,
Mhm.
right?
And that's a hard concept
Yeah.
when you have a newborn baby, and if you do have a baby that was premature,
Mm-hmm.
that's 10 times harder on you.
Yeah.
Um, and if you don't have a good support system.
Right.
So it's really hard for those women to get up and say, I'm gonna do something for myself. And I'm gonna make sure um I'm gonna make sure my body is good so that I can take care of my babies, or I can be around here long enough to take care of my babies. That
Mm-hmm.
it is hard, right?
Absolutely.
But at the same time, there should be balance.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and that's where us as women have to find it. It's
Right.
almost like we have to force it, right?
Yeah.
Reason being is because we will force it if it's for our child, right? We'll find that energy in an instant, right?
Right. Right.
Um, or if it's, I don't know, something that you're really, really into, you'll find that moment to take it. So even if it is like 10 minutes to start with, is something,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So you have to find that time because you'll find it for your kids. You'll find it for your husband, right? If you're married. Um, so
Sometimes.
sometime. Okay, well, I guess I'm speaking too much on my end.
No, 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 no. I'm not saying that on you. It just doesn't seem to be as common,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Like, um, because they're a grown man. They can take care of themselves. They should be helping,
They should be,
right? So it's just like so but you're absolutely
but there's
correct,
a
right?
balance.
There's that that's all I'm saying.
Mhm.
But that's also why I suggest starting off with like as soon as you give birth, go get some physical therapy,
Mhm.
right? Because that's you taking care of your body,
Yes.
right? Or you allowing the help, allowing the support so that you can connect to your abdominals again,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
And it's just one of those it's a small thing, but it's a major
It's a
thing.
major thing because then it'll go to, oh, it's my abdomen. Oh, now it's my back. Oh, now it's my.
Well, yeah,
It
so
starts to trickle down.
from a physical side,
Mhm.
but from a mental side is even bigger.
Mhm.
So I'm saying it's a small thing on the physical side, but it's a huge thing on the mental side.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Because it's really it requires a mindset shift that I don't think many people do. Now, granted, women typically have a thing working against them in postpartum depression too,
Yes.
right? There's if you experience postpartum depression, that's an uphill battle right
Yes, it
there, right?
is.
So it's hard to worry about yourself during that time,
So it's easy to put my attention on my baby than it is on woe is me or something is going on with me or
or put your attention on something completely different, right? So it's just like, but it typically doesn't end up on you.
yeah. Right. Right. Where
Right? So it's one of those things where it's like, but it's critical though. It's
it
critical.
is.
It's like, I just wish, I wish more women did it.
I mean, I had to learn that for myself too. Like I had to overcome a lot of things to get my body right. Right. After this hysterectomy, um, it my perspective changed only because of the C-section. So after the C-section, I had to heal from that,
Hmm.
right? So I wasn't doing everything that I should have,
Okay,
you
I
know what I
get you.
mean,
Yeah, yeah.
to make sure that everything was going good, great and golden with my body physically. Um so I was having those issues with my abdomen, with my pelvic area in general, and then go down to my back and this and
Mm,
um so I'm not healing properly, right? But the hysterectomy, I told myself, "No, it's gotta be different. I have to think differently." Right? No, I didn't just have a baby, but I did just have a surgery. I just had surgery, right? Um, but still, I had to change my way of thinking. So what can I do? What can I do while I'm sitting here laying, relaxing and, I can't get up anyway? Oh, I can breathe, So that's breathing exercises, right? There's Kegels. And then when you're able to move slowly. But for me, I was like, let me start feeling my body a little bit more. What can I do? What am I feeling that's different that needs a little bit more help? That, just go on, just learning yourself, right?
mhm,
Um, and I did. So I wanted to start engaging more in my core. So when I got up, getting up out of bed, um, without hurting myself, right? Um, Trying to engage my core a little bit more,
mhm,
holding on to stuff, but paying attention to how I engage my core, things like that.
mhm.
It's just really focusing and paying attention on your body. And that is what I was telling myself. Pay attention to your body. What does your body need? Um, and I started figuring out what it needed,
Right,
but it
right.
needed to be more consistent. I would get tired. I would get frustrated. Um, and I wanted to quit. It was hurting,
All while
things like
still
that.
dealing with autoimmune disease.
Yes, all of that. Like, my body I felt like my body literally shutting down on me, like, just giving out on me, but I was like, "No."
No, no, no,
No, no,
no.
no, 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 no. You cannot do that right now.
Yeah,
Um, so yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot.
it was a lot.
Was a lot. Feels like a lot, but yeah.
It's still a
It
lot
takes me
now.
no, it just takes me back to it. If I'm telling the story, it takes me back and I start talking as if I'm still there, but I'm not.
Yeah, be careful with that.
Yeah. The mental aspect.
Y- Yes. Are you making jokes?
No. No, 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 no.
It's that's interesting. That's interesting. So you went through this process of becoming stronger in your core again,
Mhm.
and but that ultimately led to you being mentally stronger too.
Mhm.
So there's a lot of different things that you did over that period in time to get to pretty much where you are now,
Yeah.
right? Um, yeah, that's very interesting. Very interesting. So now, so we're in present day now.
Yeah.
We're in present day. Um, strong core.
I would say so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Remember I was excited when I could do the plank and I can rock back and forth in that plank and I called you and then you was like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, what are you doing?"
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
was like, "No, look what I can do."
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
remember that?
Yeah. I do. I
I
do.
was just so excited,
Yeah.
it's little victories like that. But no,
Yeah.
I'm pretty good now.
And now you're lifting weights.
I am lifting.
I finally was able to convince you to lift some weights and to lift some weights that are not just 10s and 15s.
Yeah, heavyweight, like deadlift, squats with a barbell, like all that. That gets me excited.
Finally. Finally.
No, it feels good to be strong again. It
Yeah.
feels different because I was used to again, my body just gonna go through the motions.
Mhm.
It's gonna be weak and this is gonna hurt and but I'm not having as much back pain as I did before.
Right.
Legs, core, like I can do a plank. I can engage my core when I'm doing a squat, a heavy squat,
Yeah.
um, uh, a deadlift, I
Mhm.
can engage all of that. Why? Because I practiced it,
Yeah.
right? Over that course of time of
Yeah.
healing,
Yeah. Yeah.
recovery.
Yeah. So you go through all this. You've had a very interesting life up to this point, right?
Mhm.
And a lot of different situations, a lot of things. And I mean, we didn't even come close to really getting into half of them, but
Mhm.
give you a little general thing. So, like, this is what life has been like for you dealing with autoimmune disease for
Mhm.
the majority of your life,
Mhm.
right? And this is what it's like also to look at that stuff, take it, and still proceed, live life, be better, be stronger, think better,
Mhm.
right? Like all of that around, all the way around. And it's just interesting because like the one thing that I constantly think about is just like, can you pinpoint any of the times or all the times where like, or were there any times where you thought this is not going to go right? This is over. This is it.
At any point in time?
Like any point in time, did that ever come up at all for you?
Yeah.
And so what did you do?
Um, well,
Because that's a lot.
it is. See, I'm weird a little bit. And here's why I'm weird a little bit. Um, because I am optimistic,
Mm-hmm.
very optimistic. Um, and when I get those moments, and I've had very low moments mentally, um, I've always went to not always, I don't want to say always. Um, I was broken down to a point where I can see I couldn't do this on my own, right? That I needed a little extra oomph to get past the mental hurdle. All right. And my little extra oomph is Jesus.
Mm,
So I always tap into when I get a little inkling of doubt or the pain that happens, or um, even back then, I looked to Jesus for that help. And okay, only you can help me, because I knew by myself I wasn't able to do it, because I almost gave up on some of them. Like, just let me go.
mm,
Like, if I fall, I fall. Let me go. Right. Um, but I I just couldn't, or no, I had to push past those because I had a purpose. Point blank and period. Like, I had a purpose and I had to fulfill that purpose, and I wanted to do it the right way with the a better mindset, because I was equipped for that. So now I'm testing it out.
okay.
Does that make sense? So I dealt through all those hard times, um as hard as it was, and you've seen some hard times. um I was able to look, to remember um what I was made for.
Mm,
And that is what encouraged me, inspired me to keep going, on top of um um you. Remember I told you earlier, way earlier, how you played a part in my growth
mm,
mentally. Um, so the gifts that he has set in front of me, even our boys, um, there's a purpose. You talk about purpose a lot. Um, and I have this one life that, I mean, I could have been out of here a few times, but I have this one life to live, and I'm going to live it the best way I can, and I'm going to work hard, because I know that I can. Because I know what it feels like to be on the other side, where I couldn't do it at all, but now I can.
mm. All
There's no
right.
excuses. Sorry.
All right. All right. So we'll, because we probably could go on for another couple hours here with all the topics and things. We didn't get a chance to talk about the whole parenthood thing,
Mm,
right? Because that's a thing.
that's the thing.
We work together. That's a
Mm-hmm.
thing. Gave a little hint at to the marriage and all that fun stuff. So there's a whole bunch of other things that we could probably talk all day about. But um, thank you for coming. This is
Yes.
cool. Now I wanna end it on this, right?
Mm-hmm.
You get, I don't know, however much time it takes, just talk until you're done. But
Oh, wow.
want to offer anybody watching this
Mm-hmm.
um something, like something to take home, something to really think about, something that will help them out, go along their way. So if there's anything that you want to say, now will be the time. And you could be like, nah, I'm good. I said everything already, right? And we can
Mm.
just keep it pushing from there. But if there's anything you want to say, we can drop it in here now.
Okay. Well, I mean, I won't keep it too long because I did say a lot already. um, but I do speak to a lot of women who um, are still kind of stuck mentally, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, and I want to say, like, it's okay, but and you're going to feel that way, but you can't stay there, right? Mentally, because it's holding you back physically. Okay. Um, so when you find yourselves in moments where you get stuck and life gets too hard, um, you still have that. I want to say oomph. Like you can do it. Like you have that power to do so, right? Um, get around someone that is actually going to help you um, through your hard times, your situations. Because I can say a lot more. So I'm like trying to watch my time. Sorry.
Just say it.
um, huh?
Just say it.
Yeah. Um, and for, the the women that or people that go through autoimmune disease, whether it was from when you were little to um and it just started, um, there is a lot more research and things going on that they're trying to figure out why something is caused, right? Um, but understand that those things may limit you in certain areas, but it doesn't completely take you out. It doesn't completely defeat you. So find something that you can do so that you can keep moving, um, and just mentally remind yourself to keep going. Be optimistic. You can do it. Keep going. Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you. And we'll see what's popping later.
Yeah.
All
We'll
right.
see it popping later.
We'll see what's popping later. Yeah, yeah, for sure. Because I don't know if anybody noticed, but we go home together.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I forgot.
And we got 2 boys.
Yes, we do.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
hopefully we still have a house.
I think we do.
I hope.
They're pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. No, this is awesome. Appreciate your time. Appreciate you, of course. And we're gonna keep this thing going. And yeah. And we'll leave it at that.
All right.
All right.
It was fun.